Well, this is Invincible Costume. I'm Michael Anderson. I own this place. Invincible Costume. If you haven't been in here, I'll just say it's all retail up this way, all rental back that way. Primarily what we are is a theatrical costuming company. This is the speech. Basically we average all our parts between 65 to 70 theatrical productions every year. We've been around about 32 years, been in this spot about 28 years. Figure the basement of the building next door is full. There's about 7,000 costumes here, and about 95% of everything you see here, including like the gold dress, the stuff in the window, everything has all been made here over the years. When I bought the place, I vowed to make it as high a quality as any theatrical company in the United States. And I think with a lot of our costumes, we've achieved that. There are people that call us from all over the United States, from Texas, Massachusetts, here and there, because of a lot of pieces we have are completely unique. Most of what's up here is stuff that we need readily at hand, stuff that people might come in and want, or we use for theatrical productions a lot. Things like Renaissance stuff or 1920s stuff. Flapper things are probably, I would say flappers are the most popular thing we do, followed by Renaissance stuff as far as everyday stuff. The back room back there is where we do all the plays. It's where we make everything. It's where we have the sewing machines and all the tools that we need for working on anything from metal to leather to cloth to plastics to you name it, whatever we need to do to make anything. Most of our customers are theatrical companies. We don't do many colleges. We do a lot of high schools, community theaters, professional theaters. Like I said, we average all our parts between 65 to 70 theatrical productions all over the state every year. We will have people come in wondering how to make things costume-wise, and we're full of free advice. Of course, we get people walking in for parades, murder mysteries, things they need to get dressed up for, schools, and of course regular parties, people doing 80s parties, pirate parties, that sort of thing. It's always kind of funny if somebody walks in and wants to call us a Halloween shop, and I want to go like, Halloween is such a tiny little blip on our map. Christmas is bigger than Halloween, with all the Santas and the elves and everything else. And I like to tell them, if you've seen something on the internet, you won't find it here. We don't do cheap Chinese. It's not what we're about. How did you get your job here?
I have a good story for this.
Okay.
Michael. Well, my sister worked here before I did, and I used to come and visit her after school and just, hang out, get to see her. And so as I was hanging out, eventually they'd be like, you know how to do some simple hand sewing stitches, right? I'd be like, yeah, well, here, sew up this hole or fix this, put this here. And then it became, hey, do you want to do this? It's really easy, I'll teach you. And slowly I learned more to the point where it's like, hey, Halloween's coming up, we need extra help, why don't you start working? And so then I worked Halloween, and now I come in and help when I can with shows that come up and whatnot. Last big one was Phantom of the Opera. That took a lot of work. Also, Michael's known me since I was a baby and did theater with my dad. He also can't fire me.
For any small business like us, it's hard to tell. I mean, the internet has taken away so much from downtown places. I mean, I love the internet to death. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the internet. But between that and Walmart and all the stuff from China, any place that's a small creative business or very specialized like that, we're all going under. The earth is sadly, everything is turning into all the same. It used to be you could go from town to town and everything was different. You would go visit and it was different here and it was different here and it was different here. But now you go from place to place and things in Europe and things in here, and the trends are all about the same. I mean, I went overseas for a couple of years, came back to the United States, and I didn't recognize it. Everything had changed so much. I mean, this was back in the 80s. But I think if you do that now, it's not so much. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a feeling. I'm hoping we're here. Somebody was in here yesterday with his wife, and he said, my wife told me that this place was here, and I told her, no, places like this don't exist anymore. We do. We're in a little niche. Unfortunately, we're becoming rarer and rarer. About 95% of the costume companies in the United States went out of business in the last 10 years, simply because of the drop in sales at Halloween in October. This last October, we did less than 20% of the business that we did 10 years ago, completely due to the internet and all the cheap stuff coming through China. So we totally rely on the unique things that we can do. I mean, that's our life's blood. We can order things that explode on stage for people and teach them how to use it. We do a lot of things for zombie crawls. We provide all the types of makeup. We provide the instructions for putting that makeup on and things, doing the miracles at the end that somebody's been working 6 months on, can't figure out, come to us 2 weeks before the opening of the play and said, can you do this? And we're like, we don't know if we can do it yet, but yeah, we'll do it for you. We'll figure it out.
It's just really fun working here. I mean, it's stressful at times, but we can get pretty silly and have a good time. And sometimes there's cake. First complete costume I ever made would have been the Space Girl princess thing for Princess and the Pea. And I designed and made that. This is it right here. Okay. So this is the wig that goes with it. And here's the belt.
You never know what you're going to run into. I get the question all the time. It seems like once a day I get the question on the phone, I have a strange question for you. And I'm like, can you imagine how many normal questions I get? We don't really. It's a lot of deadlines. It's a lot of figuring stuff out. It's a lot of taxing your brains and using creativity. Learning curve things like making Captain Jack Sparrow's hat, which entails dipping hot leather in 180 degree water and shaping it into this. But this was the second attempt. This is what learning curve is about when something goes terribly wrong. I'm like, this is going to take 14 hours to dry. And I spent like a half an hour trying to hold it down, and then I just let go and the leather went and shrunk down to that. So the next one, we found a bowl that went down and then had a 2-inch straight edge. Once I pushed it past the straight edge, then it just stayed on and let it dry. And didn't even attempt to do the round shape thing again. And so then the two pieces fit together just correctly, and I could put the leather band onto it. And this leather hard band like this is the reason that pirates like that wore the bandana like this so that the band wouldn't like dig into their head. If you ever noticed the little piece of fur that he has hanging down on his belt, where is his belt? On his belt, he has like a piece of a dead animal hanging off of it. That this wasn't that uncommon of a practice back in the medieval times and those times like that, because everybody had lice everywhere. They believed that if they put a piece of dead animal and hung it from their belt, all the lice would go to the belt and they would stay off of their head. So it wasn't just a decorative thing. It's learning how to learn around this place. That's kind of what a day is like here. And then you might get interrupted by a bunch of people just coming wandering through, and then it's show and tell for a while. So, which we love show and tell.
I made this one for our Halloween window. It's a gothic rag doll. And I mean, I'm pretty proud of this one too, except there is its flaws. With every costume you make, you end up making mistakes. And the one mistake I made with this is, if you look here, the zipper, it goes diagonally. And also, one of the seams, I sewed it on inside out. But no one knows, and it kind of fits with the creepy theme. And we also made the button for it.
Starting here, these are all blouses for women, scarves, everything else, things from the 1600s all the way through until we get to about the 1940s. A couple hundred wedding dresses, evening gowns, then we run on from the 1950s through to about the 1970s. Fur outfits for all the heads that you saw upstairs. Military uniforms of all different types. All the Nazi uniforms are gone right now. They don't go upstairs. They're off at Sound of Music right now. Under the basement of the building next door, we get into women's skirts and Easter bunny outfits and men's suits and men's unusual suits, you know, probably more blue tux coats from the 1970s that you'll find anywhere in the state. And then we get into lots of real fur coats, things like mink coats, seal coats. We have a lot of money in for leather coats and into extra Halloween stuff. And then boxes that we need to pack everything, long capes, uniforms, you name it. All in all, I don't know if I've seen it all. So that's kind of the tour of the basements. God, that's probably back when it was, a speakeasy to get in. So there was a lot of, rum running and that sort of stuff that went on in the 1920s. So back there you can see where there were windows and this that actually you could go up to the streets out into there, and that doorway led out through the tunnels that were all underneath Saint Germain and hooked all the buildings together. But who knows what went on down here. People shooting each other in the alleys and such back during the gangster days. This was a wild place.